Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-host Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dreher, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing Bad Candy, an anthology film centered around our favorite holiday, Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, or in this film, All Hell's Eve, which I hadn't ever heard, but we'll go with that, right? Well, let me introduce. Let me introduce my co-host, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and I just need to make it clear that I've never had bad candy.
What?
Are
Never?
you sure?
There's definitely bad candy.
Well, unless there's coconut in it. Other than that,
like Mounds and Almond Joy?
you just
For
got to stick
shame.
with it.
For
Yeah.
shame.
Exactly. Those are death knell.
Those are the ones that kid was thrown out of the bag. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm allergic. I'm allergic to
love
coconut,
Almond Joy.
so I can't have those at all. But
Oh, okay.
all right. Also joining us tonight is Crystal Cleveland, the living dead girl. How you doing, Crystal?
I am well. I have definitely had bad candy. There's lots of bad candy. But not Almond Joy.
I'm not sure I
Not
understand
Almond Joy.
the love for candy corn. That's the weirdest thing.
Candy.
I love candy corn. It's so good.
Do you?
Crazy.
Do you?
Yes,
I am crazy,
yes.
but
It's
I like the
basically,
autumn mix, actually. The Brock's autumn mix. Where it's got the
yeah,
little
that's
pumpkins.
high fructose corn syrup, gelatin, and food coloring.
Yeah, and it's
in the shape
awesome.
of. All right. Well, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to
What's
review
not to like?
bad candy. What's not to like exactly. All the thing a growing body needs. All right. We're going to give our first impression in the candy. We're going to give our first impression of Bad Candy. That will be spoiler free, and then we'll dive into a discussion about the film, which we will get into all the spoilers and all the goodies and gory bits. And then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. But before we get into all that, we want to thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this review and many others that we have on the site. Check them out. If you want to help us out, it's really easy and free to do. Hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the like button. Share with a friend. Hit the bell to be reminded. All that stuff you hear over and over again. And, of course, we'd love to hear your comments when you see this film, and we know you will, and let us know what you think of it. All right, let's get into the review. What film are we talking about? It's Bad Candy, and I'm kind of partial. Anytime you have a jack-o'-lantern on the poster, I'm kind of already sold. All right, it is coming from Epic and Dread. It's going to be in select theaters on September 10th. It's VOD on September 14th, and then Blu-ray will come out in October on the 12th. It is written and directed by Scott B. Hansen and Desiree Connell. And the cast includes, but is not limited to, Zach Galligan, Derek Russell, and Corey Taylor. The synopsis is, on Halloween night in New Salem, radio DJs Chili Billy and Paul tell twisted anthology of terrifying local myths. Residents of a small town experience horrifying paranormal encounters that lead them to a grim end. That sounds good. Let's find out if it is. All right, what is your first impression of Bad Candy of Jeff Mohr?
Okay, so my first impression wasn't great, and like I often do, I watched it like a week ago, and I watched it again just this afternoon to freshen it in my mind, and I liked it better this time around. So I think maybe some of the quirkiness, I got over it, or didn't hit me as much the second time through. I thought so there's basically, I was trying to figure out how many stories there are in here, because they really kind of flow together. There's the little girl and her stepdad. There's the old creep giving out treats. Abby, the morgue worker, I guess, or something. Dracula, free ride driver, and his buddies.
Free ride driver.
Dressed as Dracula. And then there's the ghost investigators, right? With the house.
Well, there's
debacles.
also kind of
Uh,
like the hookers too. I
yeah,
mean,
they're kind of a
I love the hookers.
yeah. Well, they sort of blend into the Dracula free ride guy, or at least one of them does. And then there's the two FM radio hosts that are kind of telling the stories, and that all kind of loops around and connects with one of the stories. But I loved Derek Russo. I just thought he was great and natural, and was a little bit of the spark that it needed at that point.
Who is Derek? Who was Derek Russo's character?
Vince, the big guy with the beard that was
Oh, okay.
buddy of
that was
the
part of the vampire.
yeah. He was
Okay.
he was
Yeah.
riding around in the back of the free ride.
Okay.
Anyway, I just thought he was really good, and I love the I'm going to call it a weirbat, and you can figure out what that is. I don't think I'm giving too much away there. There was some cause and effect I didn't get on the first viewing until you get clear to the end, and then I sort of figured it out. So it was neat to watch that the second time through and already know it. So I don't know. I'm rambling around a bit. I thought that, like, the segments, there's not a sharp line between the segments, most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one or two of them there is, but the rest of them just kind of flow into it. And some of the editing seemed kind of clunky. So I don't know. It has its faults, but I had fun with it. That's where I'm going to leave it.
I might be able to relate to that. All right, Crystal, what is your first impression of Bad Candy?
Okay, so I already can tell you I liked it the most out of all of us here for sure. Okay, so I love like the colors, the vibrancy, and the shots in this movie. It's really beautifully shot. Now, I will say that in the beginning of the movie, and I mean literally in the beginning, in like the first 5 to 10 minutes, I think they had so many beautiful shots that they wanted to fit them all in, and the editing goes chop 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 on the B-roll, especially not so much during the dialogue or anything like that, and it is actually jarring. But each shot is really nice. So I think that maybe that's what happened there, that they just kind of had so many beautiful shots that they wanted to, because there's just rows and rows of pumpkins, and maybe that's what got me, because I started seeing all these rows of pumpkins and all these lights and all this. Everything is like, the set dressing is phenomenal, and the cinematography is gorgeous. Absolutely, I love it. I love the whole look of it. They have an excellent fog machine, and you know how much I love fog machines. It's a big deal for me. But okay, so I liked that the stories they weren't so cut and dry like a traditional or typical anthology. They all did kind of flow together, but it's not. They kind of did have Bad Candy. Bad Candy is like the clown. So he kind of travels throughout, almost like the Trick or Treat, like Sam, throughout the different little stories there. I liked the different little stories, and each could stand alone. Okay, so they relied kind of heavily on CGI. However, they get to the vampire bat, or, well, as Jeff put it, the werebat, which, sure, either way, whatever. I just think of it as vampire bat. And I loved the vampire bat. And I was just I love the costume. I love the whole creature. But I love bats. I mean, it's kind of my thing. So, vampy. It's like obvious. But I know that people are gonna maybe see a lot of. There's some acting stuff that could use some work. Maybe the casting wasn't as good. I mean, they should have hit me up. I'm just saying.
Nice.
I'm just saying there were some things.
There's already a pimp in this. You don't need to pimp it up to himself.
My pim is strong.
Gotcha.
So strong.
Yes.
But I think I was really drawn in by the look. I really think it was really pretty. It was like a treat for my eyes. I think that it was like a Halloween treat. Like I'm really excited about Halloween coming, and this just like all these pumpkin. Just gave me so many ideas and stuff. And the stories are good. I mean, they're very simple. Like I looked at each one and I was like, yeah, I can't believe that hasn't been done before. Like the candy, obviously the old man and the kid. The effects, not the best there, but it was fun. I like the whole Chili Billy thing. Corey Taylor, right? Wasn't that him who was playing that? And and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and I mean, it kind of like like it's a radio station, so that's the overall the. I don't know. I think a lot of people will like it if they just like go with the flow. I mean, it was kind of gross at points, like the morgue.
Yeah, the morgue. I know. Yeah, the morgue scene. What the hell?
Okay,
Are
I
you
mean, woo, let's get it, girl. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I had fun with it.
Yeah, we gotta give that actress some credit for
major
doing
props.
that. Yeah. So I think this anthology has a lot more to do, a lot more in common rather with Trick or Treat than your typical what you expect out of a horror anthology. Especially
Yep.
when
I thought
you've
about that.
grown up watching a whole bunch of anthologies. That they're a little bit
Mhm.
more very structured, and this one is a little less so. And it's not what I was afraid it was going to be, which is like, let's take a bunch of shorts and shove them together somehow. They do make sense. Characters are in,
Mhm.
throughout the story. So I like that. However, I'm in Jeff's camp. At first, I wasn't digging it. I wasn't on board, and I was actually a little concerned. But by the end of this movie, damn it, I liked it. I ended up liking this movie by the end of it. It won me over. It won me over by just sheer effort and persistence. I think it was the moment that Derek Russo shows up, and and they have this crazy, silly action scene that when they get
Yeah.
to the pimp place,
Yeah.
and then after that, and he just of everybody in the film, he handled the dialogue the best.
He was
I mean,
really
he was
funny.
absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant, and he was either dialogue written or he was ad libbing, but it was hilarious, and he was great, and he really has a presence on screen. I also like Kenneth Trujillo. I don't know.
Trujillo. Is that
Trujillo.
the Dracula?
That's the guy that
vampire?
was in the
I
Dracula.
thought he was so cute too. He made a good Dracula.
I was a little worried about him at first because when they introduced him, it was a bit weird. But by the time they get to the scenes I just mentioned, again, he won me over, and from there on, I absolutely loved the film. And I was starting to kind of turn the tide before then, but it was I can literally say at that moment when they got to the field is when I said, "Oh crap, I actually like this movie." Oh, okay, fine, I like the movie.
I was just thinking there was another little bit, the little vampire child who is so free that okay, see that's when I knew that the movie was hilarious because he's like no, don't want that, can't eat that. Like a little kid. You know what I'm talking about? The kid
the
with
grumpy
the
little
candy.
kid, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's so fun. And then the way he just goes and he like knocks the sign over. I don't look, okay, maybe I was just in a good mood. But I liked it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. Did it have its faults? Yes. Yes. But
I really enjoyed the morgue scene and what they were trying to do there. But I just don't know how it fit in everything. I got so confused by it. And it was I don't know. It was
like how he as far as like the creep because it made sense that I don't know, the vampire bat really didn't make much sense like because that was a different creature technically too. What I did like about the film is that really it's supposed to be all bad people that got I like those kind of movies. I like when the bad people get it.
It was kind of hard to spot some of them though as bad. I thought like you wouldn't.
It's subjective for sure. Because we don't know what was going on with the troops, I guess is what I would call them, right? Because they were all in the war together or something. With the troops, like what were they going after these people for? You're all bad people. Why? I wanted to know. Really, I was like, what'd they do?
Yeah, we knew some of them because
Like-
some of them were in, the pimp, but others, yeah, I was like, where this strict
all about?
naked old lady? Where did she come from?
I know. She's just like, freak.
And then the one guy running down the street.
Who made it? Actually, who made it away? Yeah, he actually escaped.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the cop too. The woman cop.
Oh, the SWAT. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's another one. There's a lot to this movie. There's a lot of different pieces, and I'd probably I think I'd like it even more if I watched it again, because I do know that when I watched it, I was like, oh, look at that shot. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, I was distracted by the oranges and the lights and the pumpkins and everything's very vibrant, and it's very orange and very beautiful to me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I was kind of drooling, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
It made me want to make something like that.
and I'm glad they went practical with the vampire bat, if you will. The werebat, is that what we call it? The werebat?
Sure.
Well, that's what I called it,
because it transforms. Yeah,
It was a man.
that's fair. Mm-hmm. But I just think of a vampire as a vampire would transform, like in Dracula. He transformed into a big bat. Now the wings on the bat.
It was an impressive
Debatable.
shot. It was a good. It was well shot. It was well shot, but
I loved the rest of it though. I loved the face. I think they did a good job with the proportions, because sometimes that can be really hard with, obviously a big bat. I think that the movie, if I had to say some negatives about the movie, I would say, as far as being critical, the two things that were not the best is definitely some of the acting and some of the editing. Not sound. Sound was epic. I was like really impressed with the sound and the sound mixing and everything. But some of the edits and the chops. But I was totally fine with that because I really felt entertained. Other than that, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to care about either of those things.
That's good. Yeah.
Right. And they're going to absolutely love this film. I definitely can see a very large and strong audience for this film. It definitely has the right tone, and it's wacky enough, it's and fast, strange enough, too. And it doesn't worry about character development or anything like that. It's just
remember last year.
Yeah. So for those who are maybe more on the critical side, and us being movie critics at times, or critic wannabes, at least, maybe this movie will, kind of stick you in the side a little bit. But like I said, despite my, the things that I didn't like, despite all that, I ended up enjoying the film and liking it, and I just couldn't believe it at the end. Point. I was like, how did that happen? Oh man, I got to find more Derek Russo movies now. So.
Yeah. He was super funny, actually. Like, I think the hookers were really funny though too. Well, I wonder if the three were there that were. I wonder if they ad-libbed some of that when they're talking about one more clown.
Oh my God!
It seemed like it, and it's so messy. It just gets everywhere.
And it seemed like they were ad-libbing. And they're like, "Who's gonna outdo each other?" They're like, "What do you mean?" Oh my God, no! I don't know. I think that was cute.
Let's call it. Let's go home and snuggles. I really like it.
Yeah. Okay, that's.
And I did like the SWAT girl too. I thought she did a really good job with her story.
Oh yeah. And actually I liked that was a nice dismemberment scene. So it does have plenty of gore too. I mean, it didn't have a lot of gore points, and then at other points it was really gory. So that's nice. I mean, I particularly like that scene. I mean, I know the cuts could be seen as strange maybe to some. I liked it. I was like, oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, there were times where it felt like they used too much, like they forced a cut in. And then there was other times where I think you needed something to kind of get from this the A cut to the B cut. You needed an interjection in there. Well, a lot of the times when like they were throwing javelins and stuff.
Well, see, that didn't bother me so much. I guess it. Okay, so I actually was, as I was watching it, I complimented the editing at one point because I was like, some editors will edit and they want to show literally everything. The girl walking up to the vehicle, the girl opening the door, the girl getting in, and instead, they made it a lot tighter with just him coming up and her coming up. Like, so some things they did well and for time and efficiency, and then I think there are some things, like I said, with that B-roll footage, even though it was so beautiful, some of it could have been left out so that they could remain on the shots longer and it wouldn't have felt as jarring. But I'm nitpicking.
I think we all kind of are in a way, yeah.
Yeah, so, I can find something wrong with everything because that's what we do.
Well, I don't think there's any deep message. It's just a fun.
There's no deep message at
all.
Really.
Fest, yeah.
Or character. I could see this playing really well at the film festivals and stuff, and I think it'll do really well if it's on like a Shudder. I know this one's not going to Shudder at the moment, but it would be a Shudder candidate.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely definitely worth VODing or streaming, or maybe even picking up the Blu-ray if you're really into it. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And Jeff, sir, you are up first.
Well, I think this is be a fun sort of uncritical watch. I agree with everything Crystal said. There is some rough spots around the edges and in between, but I enjoyed it. I really did. I'm giving this a 3.
Oh.
And for favorite scene, this is tough. I could go for the easy one, but you know what? I'm going to take kind of I think it's the first scene with the kids in the treehouse. And those kids were in their Halloween treehouse getting ready to go out. And when the one girl says to the other girl, now stop that. You remember what happened last year.
That was my reference.
That's a portent to everything to come, right? So anyway, I just like that. What'd you say?
That is fascinating to me. That was like my least favorite scene.
I like it.
That's the scene where I felt like all the bad acting happened in that entire scene.
Oh, well, they're kids.
Yeah, typically kids are better. They always will teach you as an actor, don't act with kids because they'll act you all the time because they're so much more authentic. But
I don't know.
I'm mean. See,
it isn't so much the acting and that stuff. Just the remember what happened last year, and then to see what does happen. Right.
Yep.
Like because they're drawing.
Yeah, the drawings are interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
It totally did give you a lot of information. That's why I was like, oh, Jeff, that's interesting. When the moment you said the kids in the
I always
house,
pick something that you don't like. Is what I use.
No, not always. Just sometimes.
No, sometimes.
I'm just always interested. I'm like, what?
I wanted to go away from the gore because it was too easy.
Well, look, okay. This is cheesy, and no one else is probably going to like this but me. But I already told them before. But the Splat Fairy, I'm sorry.
The Splat Fairy.
That got me. I laughed, and just, they use this like neon paint. It's so messed up. Why is it so funny? I don't know. The fairy is silly. Okay, the fairy is silly. She's awful looking. Like, I don't get it. But the moment that, I'm sorry, it's a spoiler. But the moment that went splat, and then it was like the freaking fluorescent paint. I'm sorry.
I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.75 actually.
Oh, wow.
Just for fun, just for funsies.
Yeah,
this is no great masterpiece, but just for a Halloween fun movie, I totally think it's fun. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. Actually, I probably will watch it again here soon.
Excellent, excellent. All right, I think I've made my point. I confess that I wasn't enjoying it at first, and then it won me over, and it absolutely did. I will I watch it again? Yeah, I feel compelled to, but I don't know if I actually will.
You should.
But
you should.
But
to
there are
solidify
power
your
back candy
feelings.
compels you.
Yeah, the power back candy.
Yeah.
There is a lot in here that I like, but it's I'm not sure the pieces add up to a whole. But at the same time, the movie is an experience, and this definitely is more of the experience than the forgive me for this word, but the storytelling, right? The storytelling isn't as important as the experience, the events, what's happening, and it is basically just we're going from one of these little stories to another, and they're woven in interesting together. So there's a lot in here that I like, and enough for me to like the film in the end. And I will say that I'll reiterate that the pairing of Derek Russo and the Kenneth Trujillo Trujillo.
Hey,
I really liked the two of them when they got together. That really was a blast. And even I was a little on the fence about Corey and Zach, Chili Billy and Paul at first, but the last segment won me over on that too. So it's really interesting how the film builds in that way. So I'm going to give this a 3 as well. I ended up liking it, and I've got some friends that I can almost predict what their reaction would be, and I think you all know what I'm getting ready to say.
Either way.
And I'm not going to say it, but I think you know what I'm saying. And there's going to be other ones that would totally be all about.
We'll totally love it.
Yeah.
Yep. I know some that would be like, no.
Yep. And we will not name that person, but I think we all have the name in our heads.
But you have to look past some of like if I weren't able to look past some of the little minute things, I wouldn't have enjoyed it nearly as much. But it was fun. It's pretty. It's a little eye candy. It's a little trick or treat Halloween eye candy. That's really what it is.
Yep. I think that is, it is a trick or treat. Yep. I like that a lot. And favorite scene. Oh my gosh. What fun. I mean, I'm going, I know you said you didn't like the wings as much, but I loved it when the vampire bat spread its wings. I just like the whole idea of it.
Why do I feel like I'm in some parallel dimension?
I know.
Like where I'm like, wait, what?
I just said it looked like a student project in a aerospace engineering class. Like they put together a bunch of tubes to make the frame. It didn't look. It didn't have a natural feel.
No, but it was.
But it was great. But it was great.
That's actually not the part that. And let me specify. I love this freaking costume. I just can't tell you. I said it so many. The wings were my only part that I had a problem with, and it wasn't the movement that I had. It was the fabric. It was the red fabric.
Oh yeah. It was.
That's the only part that I had an issue with, because typically, traditionally, they'd be translucent. I wish they just spray painted them black or used black fabric. I think it would have looked way better instead of that red.
Well, I just thought it looked like an aircraft frame, instead of an animal's wing. But I'm not dumping on it. I thought it was great.
Well, Doc said it's like his favorite scene.
I enjoyed it.
He's like,
if it's not that, it's very early. Not too much earlier than that, when they're talking about when they roofied the Curtis or something, and he just I don't know what the name is. I was trying to look it up, and but
I think it was Curtis. Yeah,
he kept talking about. What's your roofied, Curtis? It's just reminded me of, oh my God, they killed Kenny. It just had that kind of. It was okay. So I think I just stumbled on it. It has a sophomore sensibility to it.
Yes.
But it kind of uses that to its advantage. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
It's definitely. It doesn't take itself seriously.
No,
for sure. No. It's funny.
It's
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
that great line between I forget the character's name now, but Trujillo and Vincent. You had a gun,
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, he did. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, that whole time. Great.
And he had.
Thanks.
I love the cane though. Oh man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I think, gosh, if we can still keep going, this is going to be crazy.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Crystal, Jeff, thank you for joining me. You surprised me with this one. I will say.
You're welcome. Fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Good times. I think give it a watch.
Give it a watch. All right. Let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.